From London, I'm Rachel Abbott, and this is The Standard. Well, it's officially autumn, and with the gloomy weather currently in the UK, it's definitely living up to it. However, here at The Standard, we like to keep the mood up, so if you're looking to block out your diary with tons of entertainment, we've got you covered. October is packed with exciting films, shows, TV series, exhibitions, and gigs. In fact, our head of culture, Nick Clark, has put together the ultimate autumn culture guide of what's hot in the capital. Nick, shall we kick off with the film category? Let's start with the BFI London Film Festival.
That seems like a good place to start. Really exciting this year. The opening film is Blitz, Steve McQueen's new film starring Saoirse Ronan, so we're really excited about that. There's other great stuff coming to London as well. These are films that, you know, the audiences get a chance to see before they go on general release. So it's a really good time to see some really highly anticipated films. There's the new Trump biopic, The Apprentice. You get to see Daniel Craig in Queer. And, of course, there is the Weepy that everyone has been talking about, partly because that picture of the carousel horse went viral from a shot from the film. But it's Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield in what we're led to believe is a real Weepy, We Live in Time. So we're looking forward to seeing all of those.
And what else is coming to cinemas this autumn?
Well, I mean, there is a certain bear that has captured the heart of a nation. Paddington 3, this massive franchise, the third instalment of this massive franchise, is going to hit the cinemas. This time, he's leaving Windsor Gardens alone. He's going on the road and heading back to his home of Peru to search out Aunt Lucy.
Dear Aunt Lucy, I have very important news. We're coming to visit you. The Browns are coming to Peru.
Get ready, everyone! He's coming!
There's also, of course, the massive sequel in Gladiator II. Everyone, I'm sure, will remember Russell Crowe's one of his finest, if not his finest hour, as Maximus, the gladiator, stretching back 2 decades, I think. But now Paul Mescal will be donning the sandals and the toga and following Russell Crowe into this massive epic.
I remember that day. I never forgot it. That a slave could take revenge against an emperor.
Where were you born?
I don't know. I never knew a mother nor a father.
You will be my instrument.
Who are you?
And how do you think Paul Mescal will be?
Oh, brilliant. So he's known for being this really genial character in Normal People, but actually he played Stanley Kowalski on stage in A Streetcar Named Desire, and it showed a real dark side, and I think this role is going to take both. You know, this is a guy with real charisma, so I think he can hold an action film, but also he's got that angry dark side, but he's got the charisma of a leading man to pull it all off. Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Whose head could I give you that would satisfy this fury?
The entire Roman armies.
Too much?
The general will do.
Rome must fall. I need only give it a push.
It looks bonkers. I mean, it's got an amazing cast. Pedro Pascal, Denzel Washington. Sign us up.
We seem to have waited ages for Wicked. Will it live up to the hype?
Listen, if you love Wicked, I think you're going to love this. Amazing stars in that. You know, it's Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Jonathan Bailey, the great Jonathan Bailey.
Why is it you're always causing some sort of commotion?
I don't cause commotions, I am one. Some of us are just different.
Listen to me. You can do anything.
Listen, if Wicked is for you, then this film will be for you. I mean, you know, what else can you say? Many will have seen the stage show, but if you haven't been able to see the stage show, you know, you will soon find it much more accessible. They'll be coming to a local multiplex near you very soon.
The wizard that there is or was is ever gone.
Now, what's coming up on the box? What TV shows should we be keeping an eye out for? There's Joan.
There is Joan. Joan, we are seeing Sophie Turner, she of Game of Thrones fans, back on our screens for the first time since then. So there will be all eyes on this. And it sounds great. It's on ITV and she plays a real-life character, Joan Hannington, who was known as the godmother in certain parts of the British criminal underworld. Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated to see how she's going to do. But it sounds like a really, really interesting show.
It's been a tough day.
Oh yeah, what'd you do?
I'm a thief.
That's a new show for ITV, but one that's coming back that I'm also really excited by is Industry. I love Industry. You know, the highs and lows of all these young grads in London finance, Machiavellian young grads backstabbing each other, climbing the greasy pole to try and get the biggest bank balance. And I've been lucky enough to see the first 4 episodes, and I've got to say it's great. And Kit Harington is in it, this series, and he is brilliant.
I got an email about a girl on your desk dealing with some embezzlement and a missing daddy.
The press want a public face for this scandal.
I needed my friend, and you used me.
But the one that I'm, indeed, recently seen in Slave Play on the West End as well. But the TV show that I'm really looking forward to, I'm afraid, is Rivals on Disney Plus.
This is going to be marvelous.
It's vile.
Absolute hell.
It's an adaptation of a Jilly Cooper novel. It's pure 80s. It looks great. The cast is great. It's got Aidan Turner. It's got David Tennant. And it's got some really great newcomers, one called Bella McLean, who was on stage at the National quite recently. But it looks like it's going to have all you need from a Jilly Cooper adaptation. You know, cads and toffs backstabbing each other, lots of rumpy-pumpy. I mean, put this one on your planner. It sounds great.
Let's go to the ads. Coming up in part 2, the best gigs, theatre and exhibitions for autumn.
The one that I'm super excited about is Francis Bacon, Human Presence at the National Portrait Gallery. I mean, Bacon is just one of the 20th century greats, and any exhibition is worth turning up to. And the National Portrait Gallery, the newly refurbed National Portrait Gallery, I think will really, knock this out of the park.
We'll see you back here in just a moment. Welcome back to the podcast. Now, let's get outside. Music-wise, the Capitals had a very successful summer with Taylor Swift, aka Swiftie season. Can autumn even compete?
Well, it's hard to compete with Tay-Tay, I've got to say. I went to see that show and even a doubter such as me, all my doubts were blown away. It was incredible. But there is more stuff to see. Don't worry, London will always provide. In the Legend Stakes, it doesn't get much bigger than Janet Jackson. She's going to be appearing at the O2 for her Together Again tour. I mean, come on, that's pretty mega. Dua Lipa, homegrown star, massive, but interestingly at the Royal Albert Hall. So that's a really, we'll all be looking out for that one. I think it might be a classic. It's a shame that the one that kicked off the autumn season in music terms was Chapel Roan, who we've really been bigging up. She is like the number one new rising star to check out, and I imagine most of our listeners probably won't have been able to make it to that gig because it was at the Brixton Academy, a small gig. It must have been booked before she went stratospheric, but if you got there, well done you. That'll be one to tell your grandkids about. And if you're listening to this on the day it drops, get booking because it's Jamie XX tonight and tomorrow night at Ali Pali. And listen, it's going to be massive. He's got a new album out. We loved it. And there'll be a chance to hear possibly some T's new XX music. Maybe some of his bandmates will be there. But basically, he's a massive deal. Get to Alexandra Palace.
Amazing. Now, the West End's also had a great summer run too. But what's coming this season? There's one show in particular I'm really looking forward to. I wonder if you can guess.
I'm sorry, who are you again?
She's no one. You look stunning, by the way, Miranda. Perfect colour choice.
Yep, The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, I think you're not going to be alone there. Miranda Priestley, the iconic role played by Meryl Streep in the film, will be strutting into the West End later in the year with songs by Elton John. I mean, this is going to be a big deal. It stars Vanessa Williams, who you might have seen in Desperate Housewives or Ugly Betty. So, you know, big names attached to it. That's going to be great.
Don't just sit there.
It's a good season. Already opened is Waiting for Godot with Ben Whishaw and Lucy Masmati, and we love that, so get down to that. But the big names don't stop there. Mark Rylance, he's back on stage, obviously the massive star of Jerusalem. He's going to be opposite J. Smith Cameron, none other than Jerry from Succession. So get booking now, because I know that Jerry has a lot of fans out there. Other major shows include Oedipus. There are 2 Oedipuses coming into the West End, one early next year. But this one has Mark Strong as Oedipus and Leslie Manville as his mum, as his dear old mum. And that's in a new adaptation that's set in the present day, and he's a politician. Mark Strong and Leslie Manville, worth the admission price alone. And of course, Coriolanus at the National Theatre, David Oyelowo, one of our great, great actors. And it's his National Theatre debut as well. So I think this is going to be pretty epic. But the one that's got many people talking is the adaptation of the Stanley Kubrick film, Dr. Strangelove. It's been taken to the stage by Sean Foley and Armando Iannucci, he of The Thick of It fame. And it's starring none other than Mr. Steve Coogan in the role that Peter Sellers made so famous. And I've heard a lot of buzz about this one.
And finally, what about exhibitions? The world of Tim Burton has caught my eye.
Yeah, it's a funny one, that, isn't it? This is an exhibition that's been travelling around the world, and it's coming to the Design Museum. Now, Tim Burton has a absolute phalanx of fans, so I'm sure this will do really well. Obviously, we all know him, the director of Beetlejuice, currently Beetlejuice, which is absolutely blasting the box office. Edward Scissorhands, Batman, all sorts of things. Anyway, he's a real one-off creator, this guy. And it's interesting. It's everything from his sort of childhood drawings and sketchbooks and things all the way up to the present day, all sorts of work. I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating. So I'm really looking forward to that. But that's not the only thing that's out there. Of course, the big fair is going to hit London. Frieze Art Fair turns 21. And, you know, this is a contemporary art fair in Regent's Park. That's Frieze London. I mean, and Frieze Masters, which is just a short walk away. It's something like 60,000 people go to this every year now. I mean, it is massive. It really puts London contemporary art on the map every year. The one that I'm super excited about is Francis Bacon, Human Presence at the National Portrait Gallery. I mean, Bacon is just one of the 20th century greats, and any exhibition is worth turning up to. And the National Portrait Gallery, the newly refurbed National Portrait Gallery, I think will really, knock this out of the park. So I'm very much looking forward to that. 55 works, self-portraits, but also of sitters, including Lucian Freud. I mean, it's real one to mark in your calendar. And then the last one that I'm interested by is at the Tate Britain. It's a photography exhibition about the 80s. Now, we all love the 80s, shoulder pads, shell suits, all that stuff. But this is looking at the 80s from a very, very different point of view. It's basically using photographs from underrepresented groups and charting the social change and social upheaval of the decade. Obviously, a massive change during the 80s. So, yeah, that's one that I can't wait to get down to.
And that's The Standard. For all the latest news and to check out Nick's Ultimate Autumn Guide, head to standard.co.uk. This podcast returns tomorrow at 4 p.m. See you then.